Is it working now? Check, check. Rockin'. Okay, so I'm reading the, there's a thread or whatever. I posted I did a reaction that, where's this game heading? There was a video Flamu did. I was requested by chat. There's a guy in chat, Xerus, who I think checks out Flamu and Flambast and a bunch of stuff. He does not like CVs, but he's a channel regular, and because of that, he wanted me to check it out, and I don't know, it was kind of an odd request, but I figured, well, I guess I'll give it a go. I'll see what I can do. So we went through the video. Mostly I looked at what the enemy MVR did for like the first half of the video. I didn't really want to it was already 40 something minutes long. I didn't want to go through the whole thing and dissect all sorts of whatever. I reviewed the enemy CV's play, which is something I do. I look at replay reviews. But it looks like there were some people that, they had questions. So I said, well, you can come to my channel and, we could talk about it. I actually just fixed my internet issue. Yeah! So I'll be able to play again, which would be nice. But I guess somebody wrote a message. Bandy, I think it was. It's in here somewhere. Yeah, well, I consider your stream to be your house, and out of respect to you, I will not go there. But I have to tell you, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't engage with me on this subject. I'd like to think my arguments were well-founded. So I didn't mean to give offense. So I looked up maybe what he had written, and so there is a fair amount of information, but I haven't read the entire thread. I put the video out there. A lot of people have a lot of back and forths between themselves, and it's a little hard for me to just keep up with everything. So I kind of caught it on the tail end, just responded to something that I saw, but so I could go through this, I guess. Right, So for those that are like, what the hell? He's streaming? What is this? I'm just kind of responding to a forum thing because I don't know. The response sounded like I really disappointed somebody, and I thought, well, writing everything, I think that would just take too long. So I'll just give you like a video response. Thank you for the video. It was very informative. It was a good part. Now to the bad part. Nothing I've seen in the video changed my mind regarding CVs. That's gonna happen. I consider them the most dishonest class in WoWs by design. I will explain. Thank you for bringing up the PvP aspect of the game. The very basis of every PvP shooter game is the fair chance principle, meaning I can get a piece of him and he can get a piece of me. CVs break that. I don't think I have to explain why, but in order to do damage to a CV, I have to kill the entire other team. Is just bullshit, because in a PvP environment, not a PvE environment, where a CV is supposed to be some kind of achievable hard objective. The often brought up argument is that service ships shoot down planes, therefore dealing damage is not a valid argument. Planes are mere consumables, they have no relation whatsoever to CV's health. Why is that important? Two things. One of the win conditions of the game is to cap, and a live CV can very much stall a cap and win the game. Versus a ship that's dead can't do it. Second win conditions to gather points. You don't have to explain how that can be done. I assume that's just you can go around killing people. Again, in a live CV is still present, his points are not gone. And when a surface ship is gone, his points are gone and represent a minus to the team. CVs are incredibly sloppy game design. But wait, I'm not done yet. It was effectively an auto win. This is in reference to defensive fire. That, hey, Legendary Drago. By the way, I'm just going to let this guy know that I am recording to him now, actually. Just a heads up. I'm then here later when it's done. Can I also get this guy in here? Quote, to include your post. I'm going to include your post. Okay. Woot. So, other statistics I would not discuss because PR and damage is up to individual skill. Win rate is statistically meaningless. Survival rate, that could be brought up because it's pertinent to what I said earlier. Well, I could actually change this to just chatting, I guess. Maybe. Yeah, I'll do that. And I don't know. Whatever, man. This is all new for me, man, so it's all fun. Other statistics. I'm glad you're aware of what an auto win means. Now, some statistics. Last time I checked, CV's held 70 to 80% defense rating. I don't know what this means. Which, even if it isn't 100%, it is a de facto an auto win. I don't know what the defense rating is. So I don't know how to respond to that. So that's why I consider CVs, as I said, a dishonest class by design, just sloppy bad game design. I'd love to see them properly implemented and even play them in PvP. For now, PvE only. I'll edit. I almost forgot about spotting, which I consider the most toxic effect of them to the game. One can say that DD spot too, but they have associated health risks to their action. CVs, no. Is that pertinent to the first part of my comment? All right. So I will start with I'll just try to start at the start, really, and answer as it comes, and then I guess we can just go through this or whatever. The very basis of every PvP shooter is the fair game principle, meaning I can get a piece of him and he can get a piece of me. That's not correct. What do I mean by that? So, we can look at one game called Player Unknown Battlegrounds. I'll just call that. You'll have two people that will drop. One might find a pistol. One might find a sniper rifle. You know, whatever. And one might find nothing. This person has his bare fists. This person has a gun that if he goes off in the distance, he can just shoot both people without being seen or have any return fire. This person has a pistol and can obviously go after this guy. This is not endemically fair. This is a situation where, I mean, the players know going in that they don't have control over their situation. They're going to do the best they can, so they find what they can find, and then that happens. Okay, that's understandable. So there's definitely some random in this game, right? And players know this going in. They know that they're going into a random situation. Let's look at a different game. I'm going to call Halo Combat Evolved. So I used to play Halo a lot back on the Xbox. And there are multiple guns. There's pistol, whatever, terrible stuff. There's an auto rifle. Oh my god, whatever. It's a gun, bigger gun, brr. There's also a sniper rifle. With a sniper rifle, and there's a rocket launcher or whatever. Everybody starts with this. You can find this, you can find this, you can find this. You can find these different weapons. And you could say, well, everybody starts the game, and whoever finds the weapons first, whatever, and then the game just kind of ensues. But I played this competitively, well, to an extent. I mean, I went to the Southeastern Regional. I was one step away from going to a Microsoft headquarters for the final round. Although the person who won it, I think they won it. Somebody who gets a sniper rifle, if they have ammo, they can stand here, and you can be over here. You have a pistol. There's no way you can kill him. You can't. He snipes you. You're dead. You respawn over here. He snipes you. You're dead. You respawn over here. He snipes you. You're dead. You respawn over here. He snipes you. You're dead. This isn't about making the situation fair. This is about, these are the tools of the game, they're in the game. Whoever gets the tools can use the tools. So that's how, there are other games that are more quote unquote fair that are PvP games. For instance, you could say Tekken, which is a fighting game. You have two people. You have a person over here, whatever. Go, stick figure power. And they're going to attack each other at roughly similar distances with roughly similar moves. They're going to have different styles. They're going to have different patterns, different whatevers, but they're going to be able to interact with each other in a pretty direct way. Whereas Halo, you're going to interact with each other mostly through the use of these tools. And this, you're going to interact with each other with what you've accumulated in the early game, the mid game, and the late game. Early game, you have whatever the hell you can find. Mid game, you've got a smattering of some stuff. Late game, you've got a whole bunch of stuff that you can do. Yeah, the Halo 1 pistol was actually excellent. And actually, like, if this was dead center, I think the pistol shot here. So once you learned that, you could actually offset, and you could snipe people with the pistol, you could. But still, with a sniper rifle, I mean, to a point where you almost can't even see an enemy, the sniper rifle, you zoom in and you kill them, and then kill them, and then kill them. And actually, I think the guy that won the Halo Combat Evolved tournament just used the pistol, memorized all the spawn points, and just two-shot people as they spawned. 2 shots in the head, 2 shots in the head, 2 shots in the head. So, thank you for the 4 months, CC Harrell. So why do I say all this? Because the basis of every PvP shooter is that there's a fair chance principle, meaning I can get a piece of him, he can get a piece of me. Not necessarily. The basis of every PvP shooter is you have a gun. And you go around using your gun. That is your tool. That's what you have. In Overwatch, you have certain tools. In Overwatch, you have a set tool base. You have this, you have this, you have this. That's what you have with a character. You don't get to change it, you don't get to modify it, you don't improve it or alter it or upgrade it or anything. That's what you get. If you don't like it, you can move to this character. And you get this, this, and this. That's what you get. You don't get to change it, you don't get to modify it, you don't get to alter it. That's what you get. And it's how you take these things and interact with the other people that allows you to do something. Which, by the way, in Overwatch, there's a sniper character that can easily kill you. By the time that you realize you've turned a corner, you're dead. It's not about having a 1-to-1 even mano-a-mano fight. It's just, you're dead. Because that's Overwatch. But there are tools in the game that when you come around this corner, you might have a teammate that has a shield that blocks you and keeps you safe long enough for you to see the sniper and shoot back. That's teamwork. Overwatch is a team-based game. Speaking of team-based games, World of Warships is a team-based game. CVs break that. I don't have to explain why. In order for the CV, I have to kill the entire other team. Why do you have to kill the other team? Because in World of Warships, you have, a CV back here, and you have all the various team people, Team. You have teammates between you and the CV. It's hard for the CV to get to the enemy CV because there's stuff in the way. It's hard for a DD to sail all the way to the CV to kill him because there's stuff in the way. Because there's a team. It's not a 1v1 game. It's a 12v12 game. Or in the case of ranked, 7s or 8s or whatever the hell the condition is. It's not just a 1v1 situation. And a lot of people like to analyze something to say like, well, in a DD versus a CC, in a destroyer versus a carrier, how does the destroyer win? If it's only a destroyer and only a carrier from the beginning of the game, where they're all the way on both sides of the map, Yeah, that's a bitch, because the carrier can find the DD and harass him as he's coming all the way to the carrier. But it's a 12v12 game. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's just not the same. I'm glad you're aware of what an auto win means. Last time I checked, CV's held a 70% defense rating. So I'm not sure what this means. But what I think it means is win rate. So I don't really want to save it. Yeah, I'm not going to save it. Somebody brought this up, and we had a conversation in one of the balancing acts that I did about what can a CV do. Why is it that a CV player can have an 80% win rate solo, while a DD player and a battleship player and a cruiser player can have a 70% win rate solo? And like, these are some of the best people in the world, or something like that. I mean, I might be misremembering this exactly, but no, actually I am. So for 50% to get to 70%, that's a 20% spread. And then from 70 to 80 is an additional 10% spread. So people look at this and why are CVs able to do, why is this a 50% increase? Why are they so much more effective? And the best way that I can say this is, you might have a fire over here. Let me make this bigger. You've got a fire going on over here. This guy might be able to handle it. And there's a fire over here. This guy might be able to handle it. But his individual skill, he's only going to be able to handle this fire. He might not be able to handle this fire. He might not be in position to be able to handle the fire. He might not be able to get to handle the fire. This person could. But what if this person is dead? Or what if this person is being bullied out in a way that he can't do it? What a carrier can do is a carrier can come over here and help a little. And then a carrier can come over here and help a little. This guy is stuck dealing with this situation, and that's it. Yes, he could maybe take a long-range shot or something, but this is his physical location on the board. This is what he can deal with. So that's what he has to deal with. But a CV can go over and help a little. Go over here, help a little. Come back, help a little more. The ability for a player that's extremely knowledgeable about the game, knows the mechanics, knows the whatever, to be able to move, address a situation, and then address a different situation, and then address a different situation, and address a different situation. He doesn't have the raw power to just be able to show up, dev strike, show up, dev strike, show up, dev strike. Like, he doesn't, a CV does not have that ability. A battleship can dev strike, a DD can dev strike, a cruiser can dev strike. CV cannot. They can come up and they can do something. And hopefully that something is enough that the people there can put out the fire. That's why, to me, when you're locked on a physical position on the board, your influence is limited to the area on the board that you're at. Defense rate means how often DDs are involved defending points. The hell? What does that mean? How often DDs are involved defending points? CV's held a 70 to 80% defense rating. As in, like, what I don't understand what this measurement is. 70 to 80% defense rating. They have defense ribbons in 70 to 80% of the games? What? Well, in terms of like win rate and influence play, that's why I see what I see. How a very capable, knowledgeable person can come over here and they can handle this situation, but they can't handle this one. And they can't handle this one until they adjust their board position so that they can handle it. Whereas the CV can't handle the whole situation, but they can handle a part of it or a piece of it. And sometimes handling a bit of it is enough that the other people there can carry through, that they can follow through handling it. Yeah, I don't understand the defense rating thing. I am confused by this. So there's something about shooting down planes. The often brought up argument is surface ships shoot down planes and therefore they deal damage is not a valid argument. Okay, let me address that. So there are 3 types of armament in the game. There are... Ugh, this is terrible. I'm sorry. There are shells. There are torps. And there are planes. Technically, there's also secondaries, which are not... They're shells, but they follow slightly different rule sets. So we could say secondary shells. Okay? So let's put this into different categories. Speed. Very fast. To extremely fast, you could put even. Torps, slow. Planes, moderate. Very fast means, 800 to 1,000 meters per second. Torps, slow. This is somewhere in between shells and torps. Yes, planes are fast, but in terms of, if we think of this as munitions, we think of this as ammo. We think of this as the stuff that does damage. Shells do damage. They're a munition. They are very fast. Torps are damage. They're a munition. They are slow. Planes are damage. They are munitions. They're moderate speed. And these we can also say they're very fast because effectively they are. Reveal. What does this mean? Shells reveal your place on the map. They show where you are. Yes, this reveals you, as in like Gunbloom. Ugh. Terrible. Torps? No. They do not reveal you. Planes? No. They do not reveal you. Secondaries? No. They do not reveal you. They don't have Gunbloom. So maybe I should actually change this to Gunbloom, but I'll leave it as it is. Speed, reveal. What other stuff can we put? Accurate? I don't know if that's really a qualifier for munition. Mitigated? Here. We'll do 0 damage, I guess. Can it be immuned? Shells? Yes. They can be immuned. If they're AP. HE shells can be immuned. HE can be immune through armor. Torps. No. Technically that's not correct, because you could hit like a totally saturated part on the nose or on the ass. In which case it would be 0, but to an extent, no. You can't really immune them except for a special case. Planes, 0 damage. Yes. Armor. 0 damage. Technically, yes, AP. But then, no to the torps. We'll say torps. Yes. Ugh. AP. It follows kind of the same logic of that. Secondary shells, I'm just not even going to answer it. Guided. No. No. Subs. Because they're coming. Planes, yes. So, this is a basic chart, and this is no. Well, technically, kind of, yeah, because it's like it's AI guided, whatever. So if you're trying to do damage with shells, you have a very fast speed. It does reveal you when you use them. They can be zero damaged if you bounce the shells, or if you catch the HE shells on armor that's too thick for them, it is not guided. Torps are slow. They do not reveal you. They cannot be immuned. They are not guided, except for subs with the ping mechanic or whatever. Planes, moderate speed. They do not reveal you. They can be immune through specific stuff. Are they guided? Yes. So why do we go through all of this? Because people seem to have this idea that planes are things that you can deal with. But shells, can't deal with shells. There's nothing like, you can angle the shells, but I can't use my AA mounts to shoot down shells out of the air. I can't use a stiff breeze to blow the shells off course. I can't shoot torps out of the water. I can't block torps with, some kind of metal piece or hand grenade or something of that nature. But planes, I can shoot down planes. I can prevent the planes from getting to me. So I should be able to prevent the planes from getting to me. So I'm going to put stop with a question mark. No, you can't stop shells. Can you stop torps? No, you can't stop torps. Can you stop secondaries? No. And I'll put a little asterisk or whatever for islands, because technically islands can stop. But can you stop planes? Yes. Is it easy to stop planes? No. But can you stop them? Yes. If a CV is coming in with 4 planes because they're low on planes, and there's a Des Moines, and there's well, hell, just 2 Des Moines, whatever. There's 2 Des Moines together. They'll kill 2 planes for each when coming in, and they'll take 0 damage because all the planes are dead. In order to strike the Des Moines, you have to have more than 4 planes just to get through the AA. This is the cost of doing business. You have to do this just to get to them to strike them. That is not the case with shells. That is not the case with torps. If multiple ships are grouped together, it doesn't make torps go away. If multiple ships are grouped together, it doesn't make shells disappear. There is a difference here. And because players have an interaction where they can stop the planes, they can stop the munition from even reaching them, players can extrapolate this and go, I should be able to completely stop this. There should be a way or a mechanic or a thing or a something that should allow me to be able to stop this. But that's not the case. So, said something about shooting down planes. So my response to this is that when it comes to munitions, not looking at consumables or this or that, munitionable. Oh, actually, I guess that's one other thing that I can do. Limited. And I mean like a hard limit. There's not a hard limit on shells. There's not a hard limit on torps. There's not a hard limit on secondaries. But there is a hard limit on planes. What does that mean? It means that if you have 15 rocket planes and you regenerate 1 rocket plane per minute, that over 5 minutes, you have 20 rocket planes. That's what you have. If you go out with your 20 rocket planes and you get them all shot down, they're gone. You don't have more. You are limited. They are gone. You can regenerate more at 1 per minute, but until you do, they are gone. Not only that, but you need a minimum to be able to strike a target or group of targets. So you need to not only have the minimum, but you need to have more than the minimum to be able to strike a target. So Is it limited? Yes, there is a hard limit. Is the hard limit too generous? That's a balancing concept. Maybe it is. I don't personally think it is, but I mean, if they trimmed off 2 or 3 planes from the starting power of every CV in the game, oh God, if they did that to the Saipan, ugh. Could they do it? Sure. Should they do it? I don't think that would be such a radical departure that it should absolutely just happen. So, All right, well, I'm going to assume that I responded to this. So that was that one. All right, so his next response. Happa literally talked about how the player population is not shrinking. That is correct. Happa Fodder has said that the game is growing. The game is not going away. The game is not falling. The game is not shrinking. The game is growing. So, with all due respect to Happa, that's not nearly as clear as one would think. I recently joined on NA, but I play over on EU. The recent incentive of 500 doubloons for recruiters is a clear-cut indication otherwise. No, I don't think you can draw that conclusion. People are worth money. Doubloons are free. Doubloons are not free to me and you, but they're free to Wargaming. Wargaming can just type a number into a computer and poof, you have doubloons. They're not losing money offering doubloons. It's free currency for them to hand out to their players as they wish. So literally they're just giving people free money that they invent out of thin air to help them get people so that they can keep the game growing. This does not indicate that the world is failing. This just says that it's a marketing thing. People play games and move on. You don't see people playing Red Alert or 2 or Roller Coaster Tycoon. I remember when that was a thing. I very much want this game to flourish. I love this game. I'm not a gamer per se, but I love naval stuff. There's not as many of these kinds of games out there. Yeah, one of the best things about this game, to me, is in shooters. Well, I guess we already looked at the Halo Combat Evolved thing, but in Halo, time to kill was like multiple seconds. You know, it was 2 seconds or 3 seconds or 4 seconds. It was a period of time, right? Well, they got rid of it. Like, as games continued, Counter-Strike came out. Counter-Strike was massive. Massive. Counter-Strike had so many players. I think at one time it was said it had more players than 2 AAA titles, Quake 3 and Unreal 3, or Unreal Tournament, which were released at the same time. Both of those 2 games combined did not have as many players as Counter-Strike. And one of the things that Counter-Strike basically invented was the thought, you're dead. That's it, you're out of the round. And the round might last 5 minutes. So you wait for 5 minutes, and then you get, okay, I'm not going to die so fast this next round. I'm not going to die so fast this round. You go in, you play a little safe, you're dead. Son of a bitch! And a lot of things changed with that. A lot of shooters changed with that. Shooters started becoming more quote-unquote realistic, where 1 bullet, 2 bullets, 3 bullets, you're done. Not the thing where, like in Halo, you're spamming at somebody a series of shots. Not like Duke Nukem, where people have a health pool and you're chiseling down their health pool. It's just you're dead. I mean, it's different. World of Warships doesn't have that. World of Tanks does. World of Tanks, you can be shot by one tank and you're dead, or 2 tanks shoot you at the same time, but you're dead. You didn't even see the enemy, but you're dead. World of Warships doesn't have that. Yeah, you can get nailed by torps, you could get dev struck or something, sure, but World of Warships is so much slower that there's much more of a journey of, getting hurt. What do you do when you get hurt? How do you get out of it? How do you persevere through it? It's so much more paced that you don't have to be a 16-year-old kid with 0.2 second fucking reflexes at the top of your physical peak, but you can still play the game, which is great. I'm not a competitive player in the sense that, like, I want to go out and I want to be the best in the world and goddamn it, I won't stop until I get there, but I want to be really fucking good at something. And then usually I go, okay, I've done that, and then I go find something else because I'm kind of bored now. But for me, I want to achieve something like that. And WoWs gives me the ability that I don't have to have Twitch fucking reflexes. I don't have to be, the Michael Jordan of mouse shots and sniping stuff. I can just show up and try to do my thing, read a map, help some people, and it's got a paced experience that I can process at my speed. And even people that are 50s, 60s, 70s can play this game because they can process it at their speed. And I love the fact that World of Warships is able to capture that. So, all right. I think we responded to this one. Let's go ahead and knock those down. So somebody had said, dude, like, somebody had said something like, man, you have like an alien perspective, referring to me. Which, to be fair, I have autism. My head literally processes information in a different way. That's kind of cool, but it's also kind of annoying because I can try to explain something and my head is like, it's like doing the calculation and the numbers come out different. So sometimes I'm talking to somebody about something, they're just like, nah, that's not how it is at all. Sometimes it's really frustrating because I can think I'm really right about something and be just told, no, dude, you're really wrong about something. But sometimes in my head, it still makes a lot of sense, and it's really hard for me not to just pull away from it. So sometimes having that other viewpoint, I think, is actually really useful for me. And I have good discussions with people, and sometimes they get to pull something out of it, and I get to pull something from them, and it's just it's a discussion I don't have otherwise. It's really cool, I think. It's not entirely alien perspective from wargaming. It's wargaming's perspective, referring to my alien perspective, and always has been. If you understand that, their stance on various issues makes more sense. If you don't, you'll think them complete idiots that know nothing. Well, to me, it's not that alien. I'm from a former country too, like former Soviet Union, former something, I assume. I think he's in the EU, he said. But to be clear, it's not political, it's cultural. Cultural background very much pertinent in this case. I have a multicultural background, so I kind of understand. I'm Hungarian from Romania? I'm not sure. Maybe idiots is a wrong word, but so is passion for the game. They clearly created a very good game, but as Hoppe said very well, every human can make mistakes. On the other hand, not listening is a big mistake. Stubbornness is not always a quality. Tough and stubborn are not the same. One thing I have to say in this regard, game design is a bitch. Like, it's a bitch. I went to school for it. It's a bitch. Coming up with the magic goose, do you understand how many tens of thousands of different games are shit out on Steam every week? Somebody's like, oh, I got a great idea. They get some art assets, they do a thing, they put it up on Steam. Steam's like, yeah, whatever, maybe it'll sell. And nobody cares. Do you realize how amazing it is that this golden goose has been able to work for wargaming for 5 years and has a passionate community that spans the entire globe? On the other hand, not listening is a big mistake. Listening, some people are going to have some good ideas, some people are going to have not good ideas. Wargaming does listen. It just doesn't mean that they have to agree. And if you have a game designer that has a really specific vision, this is the game that I see it in my head, I see how everything interacts, and I think it interacts well. You can have a lot of people that say, I don't agree. Okay, but I'm the game designer, this is the game I'm making, I see it in my head, I get it, I understand it works well. Some people will give you such an interesting perspective, an interesting way to think about things that you can, well, I always saw it from this way, but if I look at it from that way, I can see it's totally different now. And you can make somebody's opinion evolve, but that's a really, really hard thing to do, to just completely change somebody's mindset. I mean, I'm talking to somebody on a forum right now who might just completely not even care about any of the stuff I'm saying. But I care. Does that mean that if they're not listening to me and they don't suddenly believe what I'm telling them, that stubbornness is not always a quality, tough and stubborn are not the same? Like, no. I don't think Matchmaker is a mistake, nor should it be revised. Their motives are never singular, they're always maximum efficiency. Matchmaker provides a glimpse of what will come, you know, when you get over tier, under tiered, or whatever. And also has a filtering role. Skill-based Matchmaker would have an elitist outcome, much like stat shaming has become contrary to the free-to-play principle of wargaming. I don't quite agree with the stat shaming versus free-to-play thing. Free-to-play is free-to-play. I mean, people are always going to compare dick sizes. It doesn't matter what it's in. Okay, I don't think this is all toward me. To be fair, even if we don't like the approach, foundation on how they do things, any deviation, this is talking about, I think, wargaming's concept. So maybe this isn't to me. So rather than just kind of go through this, I won't. Don't worry, civil debates. I wasn't suggesting the game is not growing, but the health of the game is not related to growth. So I might have already addressed what he was addressing to me. Okay, yeah. This is your subjective. Probably because balance from a player perspective is entirely subjective. What you think is balance, I might think is unbalanced. This is your subjective assessment, which may or may not be true. What I presented are arguments were related to the win conditions of the game, which are quite objective. I think Overmatch is grossly unbalanced in every possible way, yet it's never talked about or complained at all. I think Overpens are unbalanced and should do more damage, but when you take 5 shells that are as big as your hull is wide, you should die, not take 10% damage for no reason. That's part of a bigger, let's say, issue. It's actually part of the RNG mechanics. You're totally entitled to be subjective. It's not part of naval combat history. Just remember, ultimately, it's a game. Whether you like it or not, like the 10% damage thing, it's a game. I helped run a LARP for a little while, a live action roleplay, and I'm seeing. I showed up with my dude. I was gonna play a dwarf. Woohoo! I had a beard and stuff, rawr, because I was gonna make shit as a dwarf. So I had a big ass axe. I had a 2-handed axe. Coming into this, I'm feeling like, alright, I'm gonna fuck shit up because I'm swinging 8 damage. I'm swinging 8 normal, is the damage that I did. 8 normal. And I'm thinking, like, I've got 8 health. So 1 hit with a big ass axe, I'm fucking dead. And the first encounter I had was against an orc with a little sword that swung 3s, and he had 80 health. And I'm like, if he hits me 3 times, we'll just say he swings 4s. If he hits me twice, I'm dead. If I hit him 10 times, he's dead. What the fuck math is this? This doesn't make any sense. Like, he can have a shield too, because he's got a sword. He can protect himself. I just have this 2-handed axe. What the fuck? So initially, like, this confused me. And ultimately, you end up, as a player, you grow up, you have 80, you have 160 health, you have whatever the hell you do. But I did ask once, why is it that you have to strike the enemy so many times to get the kill? Why can't, this just be, you hit him once, you hit him twice, he's down? And the response I was told is, 1, this monster, this person playing a bad guy, when they die, they leave, they go off, they hide in the bush, and then they run out from the bush and they come back. And then you hit them once and then they go back and they run out from the bush and they come back. Like, they're just basically doing like a relay race. They're not doing any they don't exist in the same way as like you do. You stand there, you're doing things. So having the multiple hits, the multiple interactions gives you more of a sense of something happening. And if you win, then he goes off and he'll come back and you'll have multiple back and forths and back and forths. Why do I say that? Because if you shoot really big shells at a ship, yeah, sure, it should rip in half and just like, it's fucking gone, man. Okay, realistically, sure, maybe that makes sense. But it's a game. So, if you take some big shells, and they didn't pen using the mechanics, you take 10% of the rated damage. You got hurt. You move on. So that there's more of a back and forth, more of an interplay. It's not Counter-Strike where you're dead. Furthermore, most of the biggest complainers here don't play CV ever. Their opinions on what are balanced are heavily biased, hold a lot less value overall. It's like if I talked about how good bad a baseball player is, when I never watched or have cared about professional baseball in my life. But I like sports, so that should be enough to know everything about it and comment it, right? No, of course not. Playing a ship or a class is a subjective decision based on a number of personal factors. Also, when it comes to what constitutes fun, there are many tastes. I'm a cruiser main, although I have a few BBs and occasionally play them. However, I will not play CVs in their current form in PvP. I play them in Ops. It's my subjective decision based on objective facts, and again, what I presented as arguments are not subjective in any shape or form. No. However, I don't and won't deny people's skills playing the class because I value quality and I try to be better and better. These are my fellow mates. Well, I do like to hear I don't and won't deny people's skills playing the class. Because I do hear a lot of people say, like, it's fucking brain dead, bro. You just go over and you put the thing on the thing and then you just like win. I have played this class for thousands of hours. Literally thousands of hours to get where I am. And I realize there are people that have thousands of battles. 3,700, 5,800, whatever, 8,000. But I didn't just like, my 9-year-old niece tried to play carrier. It was not something, well, brain dead dude just shows up and play. No, skills matter. I know it might not be that you have to be a world-class StarCraft player to be able to somehow manage all the fucking bullshit that's going on and be able to win the game. So yeah, it might not be mind-bendingly, mechanically fucking crazy-ass hard to do, but there are still concepts and skills that you have to develop to be able to play the class well. That's not a joke. And for somebody in like a prestigious clan, that they've been playing the game for multiple years, they know what the fuck they're doing, they might be able to hop into a CV and run around and do lots of damage and dumpster people. Sure, but they still have all of the game knowledge that they've accrued to know what ships matter, where they should go, what they should shoot, what they can get away with. Like, it's not like they're coming in with just nothing. The video was analysis what the CV did, what he lost, what he had left. Anything is a nice response to unlimited planes we see so often complained about. The video was an attempted rebuke of what Flamu has said regarding CVs, and while informative, it didn't change my mind. No, that's not correct. That my video was not a rebuke of what Flamu said. My video was an assessment of what the enemy CV did and trying to explain how, yes, it's from a surface ship's point of view. When you're seeing stuff, it can just be like, what the fuck is going on? How does this make sense? Well, I wrote about how it made sense. This is what happened. And for anybody that sat there and been like, this is just fucking crazy, I don't agree with this. If I'm in a Richthofen, I do shit like that. You can watch me do shit like that. I do shit like that on a regular basis. It's why I am who I am. It's why I stream on Twitch. It's why people watch me. But I tried to take a surface ship example and explain how the things made sense, because from a surface ship, you may not have, well, one, you may not have the personal experience with a carrier to be able to know what the fuck is going on behind the scenes, and two, the game interface doesn't tell you how many planes the enemy CV has left. So you don't know. You just assume, God, it has fucking more. It never ends. So there would be nice if there was something in the game that told you what there was, how much there was left, which I think in my video, I think I actually used like little color coding to try to say, that's orange now, he has orange amount of bombers, he has red amount of bombers, he has however many torps. If there was some kind of indicator like that, I think it would go a long way into helping people know, ooh, the enemy CV's out of bombs. I can do this now because I don't have to worry about bombs. It allows people to make informed decisions, which I absolutely think makes for a better game experience. I don't know what that is. He relegated himself to playing T9 because T9 has the least chance of rolling a CV. I think somebody found that out. CVs blow up when someone sneezes at them and you want them to cap? I don't know what this is. So short reply. Okay, so, and this is where he said, well, I consider your stream as being your house, and out of respect to you, I will not go there. But I have to tell you, I'm a little disappointed you didn't engage with me on this subject. So I just want to reiterate, you know, this is now in 7 pages. I haven't read all 7 pages because a lot of this is, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going on here is a deep back and forth between this person and this person and this person, and they're all having a big conversation, and it doesn't even involve me. And I can read it and I can have an opinion and I throw in, and then I'm jumping into the middle of a 4-way conversation. And I mean, I don't even like to attend a party with like 7 people. A party for me is having 2 people or 3 people. You know, it's chill, right? When there's 4 people or 5 people talking, like my mind just kind of shuts down. And I even have problems with that when I'm playing clan battles, because sometimes the teammates that I have, you know, they get really excited. They'll start discussing, fuck, I missed this. Okay, well, I'm going to do this and you go over there. And they'll start talking strategy. And in my head, I can't block out the conversation. And maybe, well, I should pay attention to the conversation so I'll know what my team is doing. But when they're getting into the specifics and the mechanics, like my mind starts to envision the part of the map and how they're moving and how they're doing this shit, but I'm also trying to focus in on the other stuff, and I can't block it out, so I just get overwhelmed. It's an issue for me. So as far as like just diving into all 7 pages of this, it's tough, but there were a few people, like this other guy, who he directly, you know, he added me. And he said, and he asked me a question. This guy, Commodore Kang. So we'll answer this now. At Askance, one thing I've always wanted to ask an earnest and thoughtful CV supporter is about the initiative imbalance between a CV and a surface ship. I'm assuming initiative is like initiative in Dungeons and Dragons. You know, who gets to do the first move. Seems like the CV can go anywhere on the map and strike a target. They can choose when to hit the target, where they want to hit the target, and then disengage from the target whenever it starts getting too hot. The surface ship being targeted is in exactly the opposite position, and in particular, they can't choose to disengage the CV when they get low health. In fact, when they do get to low health, that's usually when the CV will go to any length to keep hitting and spotting them until they are dead, and it is almost impossible to run away from a CV that wants to kill you given how much faster planes are. What is your position on that situation? Okay, so earlier I talked about munitions. I talked about, you know, weapons, guns, shells, doing stuff, whatever. And while I was thinking about that, because I was thinking about this today in the car, because I posted this last night and people were talking about stuff, so I was thinking about this as I was going to work. If we look at a Smolensk, what is the damage limit on a Smolensk? The limit is their health. That's the limit on their health, on their damage. Damage limit, sorry. What does that mean? That they could do 100,000 health, or they could do 100,000 damage? As long as they have health. They can do 200,000 damage, as long as they have health. They can do 300,000 damage, as long as they have health. They can do 500,000 damage, as long as they have health. They could do 800,000 damage, as long as they have health. This is the limit that stops the Smolensk from getting more damage. What does a carrier have? Or sorry, I guess I should put carrier. Whatever, I'll put carrier. What is the, whatever, we'll do this again. Damage limit. The damage limit equals resources, which are more colloquially known as planes. What does this mean? It means that the carrier is given, I'll say, I'm just going to make up a number here, but it's given 50 planes at the start and 25 planes over the course of the match. That's what it's given. That's what it has. And if you start looking at the number of what a plane can do, you can pretend every plane can do 3,000 damage. One plane equals 3K, 3,000 damage. So 75 times 3,000, in this instance, is 225,000 damage. All right, so if we think of it this way, whenever you use the resource, in the course of using the resource, you get this much damage, and then the resource is used. You extrapolate it, the CV walks in, this is the maximum, again, using this example, this is the maximum that a CV brings to the table. The Smolensk has no maximum. They bring whatever they can do. As long as nobody shoots at the Smolensk can kill everybody. Is it likely that nobody shoots at the Smolensk? No. But as long as nobody shoots at the Smolensk, they can kill everybody. But a carrier, AA is automatically on, so unless you literally disable the AA, it's going to do something. So a carrier has this. Now, from this 225, which is a combination of resources and technically time, if the carrier chooses a bad strike, so one bad strike causes a loss of, I'll say 5 planes, more than they should have, then that's a reduction of 15,000 off their total. And now their maximum total is 210,000. Every time they take a suboptimal strike, or instead of striking a battleship, they strike a DD. And instead of getting the full value of, say, 20,000 on the strike, they instead got 2, which meant they lost 18,000. So now they're down to, I'm just going to bullshit, 195. Every time you take a bad strike, every time you strike a suboptimal target, every time you miss, every time you have some kind of instance that isn't giving you full value, you're constantly reducing this total down to what it ultimately will be. So if you play the midway and you spend a lot of your time dealing with destroyers, you're going to have low damage off the destroyers. You're going to miss a lot. You're going to waste time looking for them, camping their smoke, dealing with them, and every time, every action you take that is not a full value strike, you're losing resources to do that, which means your total is going to continually go down. Is that a bad thing? No, because you can still win the game even if you do 20,000 damage or even 0 damage. It depends on what you're doing to help other people achieve their goals in a carrier. That's not the case in a surface ship. Not to say a surface ship can't be supportive. It absolutely can. But in terms of a limit on what can be there, you have to recognize that fundamentally they're different. A Smolensk can kill everything on the board. A CV can kill only a certain amount of stuff because it is literally limited in how many resources it has until it is literally out of those resources, and all it can do is ram something or secondary something, which, I mean, at least the German carriers can do. So taking this information, now we can take this and we can move into this initiative concept. You know, who gets to have the first strike? Who gets to do the thing? So on your map, you have a Smolensk. Whatever, we'll just use red. You have a Smolensk with infinite damage. That Smolensk moves and takes a position and exerts the possibility of infinite damage within their threat range. As long as they're alive, they have the possibility of infinite damage from their position. A CV does not claim a position. I mean, obviously, its hull is going to be somewhere. We use a different color for the CV. We'll use green because I'm a CV guy. Rawr. A CV does not claim a position and threaten infinite damage. A CV temporarily occupies it with its munitions and does a small amount of damage. It may do it multiple times. It may get multiple strikes off. But ultimately, its attack is temporary. It does not exist there. The hull exists where the hull exists, but the strike is temporary, and then it goes away. So, if you have a DD, purple, sure. If you have a DD moving to take a situation, this DD exhibits an influence range of, I mean, this sounds corny, but infinite possibility. Whereas a CV can call his shit. He can come over, check the DD. I found you. What do you want to do? Do you want to smoke? Do you want to hide in a smoke cloud so that I can't fuck you over and my influence on you is now, stopped? So that I either have to lose resources to your AA while you're in smoke. Granted, it's a DD. It's not. I realize, blah, blah, blah. Do I lose resource? Do I lose time that it would take to make strikes to camp you in the smoke? It starts coming into opportunity costs. The CV can do one thing at a time. It can spot a DD. It can spot a flank. It can... All right, we'll do that in green. It can spot the DD. It can spot a flank. You can put fighters around to keep the flank spotted. It can come over here and it can fighter the Smolensk to keep the Smolensk safe. It can do a variety of things, but it can only do one of them at a time. So... in the surface ship instance, you claim a position and you utilize that position to a quote-unquote infinite value until you are forced back or called to task for it. Whereas a CV makes influential plays on a map without claiming the position. So all it's doing is a brief influence hit, which is why I describe if there's a fire over here, the Smol who's on here can absolutely address the fire because he's here. But that Smol can't address the fire over here. Doesn't have the range for it. Whereas a CV player, going back to the earlier part in the discussion, can come over and address some of it. But leave the rest for the person who's there. And then come over and address some of it. And leave the rest for whoever's over here. So when it comes to this initiative, you have to understand that it's a fundamental difference in how the carrier is interacting with the game. In that, when the DD gets when the CV rolls initiative on the DD, yes, the DD he doesn't have the feedback to where he can hit the carrier and do all that other stuff, but, I mean, there's a few other factors in play, because the planes have a 10-kilometer spotting range, which can be reduced to 9 or 8.1, or in the case of torpedoes, it can be 7.5 or reduced down to like 6.1. But still, there's a fair amount of spotting distance on the planes. So, in terms of who gets initiative, the DD sees the planes before the planes see the DD. So the DD, quote unquote, gets initiative. If you think of this in a Dungeons and Dragons situation, you have... Oh wow, this... I'm sorry. You have... Oh yeah, let's do it, buddy. You have an angry wolf. Rawr. I mean, that almost looks like an angry wolf. Whatever. Here's the angry wolf. And you have your player over here. If the player rolls a perception check, and succeeds it, then the player over in the distance can know, oh fuck, there's a wolf over there. We'll give him a bush. Because that's fun, right? He's hiding behind the bush. There's a wolf over there. What do I do? Do I come out and confront the wolf? And then there's a fight? Do I hide and wait for the wolf to pass by? Do I perform a magic spell and distract the wolf? Like, whatever. You have your toolkit as a player to figure out What are you going to do now that you know there's a wolf around? And why do I say all this? Because the little DD bro can see the planes before the planes can see the DD bro. He could smoke. He could run away. He could alter his position so the planes don't see him. I mean, he has options. And you can say, some people will say, well, when the planes, let's change the position on here. So you have a Shimakaze that's going out in bumblefuck nowhere alone. The nearest enemy ships are back here. Here's the Shima doing Shima shit. If somebody says, hey, there's a Shima over here, CV, go find it. The CV can come over here, but he has that 10-kilometer surface thing. Whatever. If this Shima... Can we make this transparent? We can. If this Shima has friends that are over here, then the CV might be detecting the Shima. Or he might be detecting the surface ships. The CV doesn't know. All he sees is the little exclamation point detected. So using your teammates to confuse the little detected thing means that it's even harder to find the destroyer. All you know is, well, fuck, there's something over here. So, all right. So I think that kind of describes the initiative. To me, there's multiple forms of initiative. There's different ways that things interact. That's first off, you have to look at that. There's different ways that interact. CVs are absolutely affected by opportunity cost. And for those that don't know what opportunity cost, it's the opportunity to do something else. If you ate steak, then you didn't eat jellyfish. Whatever. I don't know. Rawr. It's past midnight. You did one thing, you didn't do the other thing. If you're looking to spot a DD, then you're not striking a battleship. If you're striking a battleship, then you're not looking for a DD. If you're helping the north, then you're not helping the south. If you're helping the south, then you're not helping the north. Every time you make a decision, you're doing a something, you don't get to do the other somethings at the same time. But it is also worth knowing that because of this detection range, the enemy technically rolls initiative on the CV. But in this case, this person in the bush doesn't have a weapon that can stab and kill the wolf. He just has to deal with the wolf. Well, I don't know. Oh, God. It's fucking midnight. Now I'm like, oh, you're reaffirming that you can't do anything against CVs. Ah. Okay. In particular, they can't choose to disengage the CV when they get low health. Yeah. There was a proposed change to spotting where the DD's aerial detection was so fucking low that there's just like nothing there. And even cruisers got so low that they'd almost be like DDs are now, they're hard to trip across. So like if you just turned off your AA, you basically go into aerial cloak mode. I kind of wanted to see those detection changes. I thought, that's not a bad idea, but they didn't implement them. They didn't do it. So as far as chasing you down, it's still worth knowing if the CV is chasing you, he's not doing something else. If a CV is chasing a destroyer, he's not bombing a battleship. He's not defending a cap. He's not helping a different teammate somewhere else. He's chasing a thing. That is what he's doing. That's what he's committed to. And similarly, if a DD is on this cap or on this flank, the DD is not on that flank. If the DD is taking this cap, he's not taking that cap. I mean, there's opportunity costs going both ways, but and they can disengage from that target. The disengaging thing, one thing that's worth knowing or worth remembering, planes are not people. I like the bush. Planes are not players. Planes are player guided, but planes are just munitions. They're literally, if you think about it, all they are is player guided missiles. Because that's effectively what it is. At first, there were big guns. Big guns shot shit long ranges. It was a big gun. Then people realized, hey, we can fly. So what was the first thing? They strapped a bomb to it. And then they flew somewhere, and then they dropped the bomb where they wanted it to go. Rather than like trying to hurl the bomb or shoot the explosive there, they just guided the munition to the target and they put it where they wanted it to go, or at least as close as they could get it. So as much as, you know, it's easy to think of planes have pilots and people and families, in this game they don't. They're just models. It's just a gun. And when you see the hybrids or whatever, the hybrid ships that have guns and also have planes, it's just a different type of munition. The Hindenburg has guns, the Hindenburg has secondaries, the Hindenburg has torps. If I shoot my torps, I don't really think about whether the torps can disengage or not. They're shot. They do their thing. They go and they hit something or they don't. Same thing with the planes. They go, they're going to hit something or they don't. Now they have the ability to spot, which is something shells and torps don't get to do. But, you know, it's a bonus cool thing. Yay. I guess the only other thing that I wanted to say is, I might have already said it already, but because of that thing where we talked about where there's only a certain amount of damage that the CV can do, you basically, there's so many fires on the map and you start with only so much piss to pee on them with. So it really comes down to how are you going to distribute your urine all over the battlefield in an attempt to somehow make it work out so that you win. And I have described this like magic cards where you have instants that can affect a situation or affect, you know, a battle that's going on between this monster and that monster. Oh, there's a fireball. The fireball deals this much damage and the enemy creature goes away real quick. And then like I kind of look at aircraft carrier or the CVs in this game almost like instants or some kind of effect that would be utilized in a tabletop game. You know, super accurate fire or something. It doubles the damage somebody takes from a shot or whatever. It's just in my head. That's how I kind of see it. Like if I actually sat down and tried to turn World of Warships into a tabletop game, what would I do? And CVs almost feel more like they have an instant kind of effect that alters the situation some. And the enemy CV can also do an effect and try to alter the situation some. But really it's going to come down to the surface ships on the map are the ones that hold positions, the ones that have the potential to absolutely infinitely destroy, take, claim, do whatever with their positions. And the CVs just kind of affect things to the best that they can. Although some CVs do a fuckload of damage, and I mean, it's really cool when you nail the shit out of something. Not gonna lie. I mean, it's fun to dev strike stuff with torps and dev strike stuff with shells. It's fun to blap things with CVs too. But all right, so kind of answered all of this stuff, I think. So I will put this on the whatever, and I'll reference these two people so that they can be aware of it. So I am streaming this because it's the easiest way for me to record it because I'm still new to all this crap. So I can upload this recording to YouTube and then I can, and then I can put the YouTube video in this little thing and reference the two dudes so they can watch it. But there have been a lot of people in chat. I have 31 people, even though I stuck it to just chatting. So, hey, I've got peoples, I got fans that have asked a bunch of stuff. So I will ask, or I'll try to answer some things. And if in all of this you asked something and man, you really wanted to like get your question answered, can you just like repeat it so that I don't? Because I mean, I might go through this VOD and actually read everybody's conversation just to kind of know like what I was talking and what people were thinking about it. But if you wanted to like actually have me answer, if you could just repost it so I can kind of like just start from here and start fresh. What are your preliminary opinions on the skill rework fighter skills for CVs? Do you think someone running them would deter you at all? Sure. Yeah, I kind of talked about that. The chat had asked me about fighter stuff, or sorry, they'd asked me about the skill. Fuck, where was it? Where is this crap? Updates, right? Updates and thing, game updates. Oh my goodness. Winter trophies. No, wait, this isn't like the dev blog thing. Where is it hiding? Dev corner? Dev corner. I think it might be this. Changes to new commander stuff, right? New skill system. All right, this is the thing. Let me pull this up. Blah, blah, blah. Commander skill matrix thing. What are your preliminary opinions on the reworked fighter skills? So, somebody asked me, I think it was Xerus, actually asked me to like go through this and, oh god, that's too small. You know, what would you do for the Audacious? Turns out it's the same fucking thing. Literally, it'd be restoration time, more, and squadron speed, faster, reduced continuous damage and bonus health, healthier, and then stealthier. More, faster, healthier, stealthier. Same shit. So that's a 13-point build. And then I'd have Pyrotechnicist, which is Demolition Expert. So that's 16 points. And then you'd still have 5 with the new 21-point command limit or whatever. So I would get Ruthless because the Audacious really... Torps are the most consistent damage that the Audacious has because of the penetration issues with the rockets and the bombs. So this actually would kind of shore up a little bit of the weakness by giving it a little bit more oomph. And then you'd have a 1 point where you could just pick something up here, because all of them kind of work. But in terms of the fighter stuff, increasing the action radius by 10%, cool. I think that's neat. Number of patrol fighters and interceptor consumables. I like this. I really do like this, because having the 3 each, making it 4 each across the thing, so you have 12 in total. I like that. This thing, the focused, I'm a little confused by this. So like as soon as you enter that little ring circle or whatever, it doesn't take a few seconds to latch. It latches onto you, gets on you, starts firing like immediately. But instead of taking 5 seconds to activate, it takes 7.5 seconds. It's just, does it really need more time to activate? And maybe it does, because of the additional action radius that you can get. Maybe if like you're really going to spec into this hardcore, you could just fly over to somebody's planes, like in the Roosevelt, and guarantee, bam, those planes are dead, and there's nothing you can do about it. That would be a bitch. So having the increased time or whatever means that you'd really have to get ahead of the FDR, and he'd have to linger in that circle before he got the fuck out for them to latch. So it makes sense balance-wise. It's just like, that's kind of a bitch. And I don't like the action time of the consumable is less. This makes me feel like if you're going to go with a patrol fighter build, you need to go with consumable mod in slot 5 to increase the duration of the fighters. Because this is going to take it from 60 seconds with a 5-second warm-up time, so 55 seconds on whatever, down to 45 seconds with a 7.5-second warm-up time. So you're only getting a little over 37 seconds of active fighterness. Well, if you have the consumable mod, it kicks it up to like 60, so at least it feels more normal. And then this thing where the consumables are invulnerable to enemy fighters. That is actually useful. They can't spot ships, okay, but if you're using this as an anti-air prevention build, you are giving up the ability to spot, which is, I mean, that's significant. It's not a joke. If this goes in, your team needs a second DD or needs some kind of concept of how it's going to spot for itself other than CV, fucking spot. So, but having this means that if I drop fighters on top of an FDR, the fighter can't just, or the FDR just can't drop a fighter on top of my fighter, and then my fighter will see their fighters first. If this ignores fighters and cannot be killed by them, then if it latches onto the FDR, it shoots down FDR planes. Bam, done. So it's awkward, but the increased action radius, especially with both of them, 5 kilometer to 5.5 to 6.1 or something. Yeah, sure. I'm down for it. I could definitely see in a ranked match or in a clan battle where I actually go right down this tree to have this to be able to get on top of people and make things happen. Sure. I think it's cool, to be honest. You might be losing out in some potential damage. You might be losing out at some other stuff, but I mean, you're not going to lose out too much. This is 10 points. You still have 11 points left, so you can still get... You might drop stealthy, so to speak, but if you have the Audacious, the unique module gives you a little extra ship stealth, so I mean, technically, Audacious could be kind of cool for like a little defensive-y thing. You can have the Enduring and blah, blah, blah and stuff. So, I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. All right. So, maybe I'll DM my bad. Got 10 hero minutes with the wolf thing. Oh, with the wolf thing, rar. Stealthy even with the penalty to aircraft return time? Sure. It just means that you'd be, instead of like doing rockets and then rockets and then rockets, you'll do rockets and then torps and then bombs and then rockets and then torps and then bombs. It's okay to split it up. And it also, I mean, having that advantage, having the stealthier hull means you can maneuver more, which is cool. But having a disadvantage associated with it is fine. I think it's okay. If you really want... Another thing that does, which is kind of beneficial, say, is if you have... this is too thin. If you have 16 rockets, right? So you take off with 9, so you have 7 left. Actually, I'm going to change this because base is 14, so we'll do 5 left. Because that might actually be applicable depending on if you need consumable in the mod or not. So you go off with your 9 rockets and you spot something. You spot a DD. You strike it a second time. Your planes are still coming back to the carrier. You only have 5 left. Do you take off with 5 and go back to the DD? Do you take off with an underpowered squadron, spend an entire minute going back to the DD so you can rocket him once, and then possibly a second time with maybe a single plane? Because I'm sure he's going to kill at least one rocket plane. So it adds a situation where you don't just get to take something and then just spam it as much as you can now. It does actually make use of this 14 plane limit on a certain tool. So, I mean, balance-wise, it sucks to be in a situation where you get nerfed, right? But that doesn't mean that the nerf isn't to make the game more balanced. And more balanced is good. Been looking forward to the skill rework. Find it interesting. Yeah, and also the detection on the planes being increased goes back to the conversation about initiative with, the man and the wolf. If the DD can see the planes from 10 kilometers away as opposed to 9, that just gives the DD even more time to figure out what they want to do, which is okay. I mean, it makes the CV's job harder because the enemy has more time to prepare, but still, it gives the DD more time to make a good decision. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Been looking forward to the skill roar. Stealthy. Talking about return time. Commander gunmetal. Players of the veteran era really need to learn to adapt. I'm looking forward to being as good as them in the game, though. Admirable. Okay. I disagree with both of those statements, even as someone who hasn't played since beta. What are your views, friend? I'd like to hear your point. AA gets better due to adrenaline rush on all ships? I haven't heard that. AA gets better due to adrenaline rush? Well, there is no adrenaline rush here. So that's not on this. Adrenaline rush increases ship's parameters. Yeah, so this is whatever. Continuous AA goes up. Okay, whatever. I mean, theoretically, as you take damage, you're probably losing AA bounce. So when people say like the game needs to heal AA, the game needs to make AA stronger or like repairable or something. You might lose 20% of your AA, but as your health gets low, you get a little additional something to kind of make it back up to 100%. Whatever, that's fine. There's nothing crazy about that. When you're at half health, it's a plus 10%. At half health, you might have lost 10 or 20% of your AA. So, I mean, whatever. It's okay. It's not just the veterans of the game that have massive issues with the current and future direction. I mean, look at the part of the current meta, spam HE. The HE spam has mostly stopped being in the meta for the last, well, while. I mean, HE spam is still a thing because people know how to know how to angle. Or at least a lot of the populace seems to have learned what angling is, so HE works against angling, so people use HE. It's easier. I mean, I don't know if meta doesn't mean like you bring the most flame-throwing ships and whoever brings the most flames wins. Like that's kind of what it means when you say the current meta. So it's all about flame-throwing ships, but then you'd see Thunderers all the time, and Conquerors all the time, and Smolensks all the time, and Colberts all the time, and Worcesters all the time. You don't. You see a variety of different stuff. Right now in clan battles, for instance, it's Petropavlovsks, which do have to use HE, because they're against other Petropavlovsks that are just pointing their nose at them, so they don't get to use AP, because it doesn't do anything. And Goliaths, because Goliath have such large HE shells that they can actually deal with the bow and assholes that they can't otherwise kill. So there's that too. I wouldn't necessarily call it the meta. It's just people have learned how to angle, so HE can get around angling. The question is, does HE make it matter enough? All right, well, does anybody else have questions for me in the chat? If maybe you had said them earlier and you want me to answer them, otherwise I'm going to close this off. And I mean, people can have conversations in the Discord. Okay, so I'm gonna close this off and upload this to YouTube and kick it over to the thingy. Holy fuck, it's been an hour and a half. Okay. Yeehaw. Well, I hope Forum Man enjoys his hour and a half response. How would I fix Audacious to be more relevant? The Audacious already is relevant. It just has specific strengths. The Audacious is very capable at what it does. It savages lightly armored things. So, I mean, it is good at that. The problem with the Audacious is, because of HE spam, the quote-unquote meta often uses armored ships that are resilient to HE. So armored ships are resilient by nature to the British concept, which is against lightly armored ships. The Conqueror, yes, it chucks HE, but it does have AP. But the AP is only good against lightly armored ships. Why? Because it has a really short fuse. So it can't just rip through the outer wall and then through the inner wall and into the citadel and all that. It doesn't work like other shells do. But it's great against cruisers because it breaks in through the side and it doesn't overpen. It just fucking pops. Gone. So the overpen thing is not such an issue with a Conqueror, although a lot of Conquerors just chuck HE. So it's built for lightly armored enemies compared to what the Conqueror can do. The Minotaur is built for lightly armed enemies. It has AP that has a really short fuse. The Jutland, the DDs used to be, although they changed the HE damage, because you used to have to take IFHE if you wanted to use it at all, because it just wasn't strong enough to pen any other DDs. So kind of the same gig, was against lightly armored whatever. The heavy cruisers kind of break the concept with their heavy slugs that can break through large amounts of HE. I don't know if the heavy cruisers like the Goliath have a reduced fuse timing. I'm not sure if that's a thing. I haven't heard that it is. I don't know. But yeah, the British carriers also carry that concept where they savage lightly armed stuff. So if you get into a situation where DDs are the meta, you know, there's fucking Colberts running around everywhere and stuff, or there's Smolensks everywhere. You run around with an Audacious and you can rip them apart with rockets. You can, or in clan battles, Montanas, Thunderers, Ohios, all of those can be penned by an Audacious. And I played Audacious, and I fucked people in Montanas and Ohios in that Audacious. To the point where they just ran behind an island and they were out of the fucking game after 4 minutes. Because I threw bombers at them and they had nothing they could do. They just got fucking slaughtered because they were playing the game like, it's an Audacious. Audacious sucks. I'm good. Wham, 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 wham. Oh, son of a bitch. It's like... But you play a Kremlin that has armor everywhere, or GK, it's different. It's not the same. Okay. Yeah, UK battleships can do insane AP damage to battleships, but they lose pen very fast. Yeah, like the Thunderer has the better fuse timing, so Thunderers can just rip shit apart with their giant guns. Because the fuse is different than the Conqueror. The Conqueror has pen, but it's just the pen doesn't carry through multiple walls. It pops too quick. At least if I understand this whole free fuse timing thing. Okay. Alrighty, if there's any other questions, I can answer it. Otherwise, I'll give you like a minute, maybe 30 seconds. Otherwise, I'm just going to close down the stream. And if you want to continue having a chat, you can chat in the Discord. That's what it's there for. So people can hook up and be able to talk amongst themselves. Oh, and by the way, I fixed the internet thing. Yeah! Something about like some old IP data or something that had to be reset and flushed in a command prompt, and then the computer reset. So, woot. Yeah, the Thunder has AP. It's got really good AP. Get out. Yep. It's fixed. Yeah, it's because the little power line thing, like it was connected. It showed it was connected, but it wouldn't identify the network. So it seemed like I didn't know if the network was not allowing my new computer to take part of the network. Where it's like, oh, this is an exclusive club. Get the fuck out, sir. You know, very informative and educational stream. Well, I'm happy you enjoyed it. I didn't expect 30 people to show up and hang out for an hour. I just thought like, well, I'll take like 20 minutes to respond, but I literally had a response to this person where it was actually I'm sorry. This guy, one thing I wanted to ask you was, about the initiative stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't think this is something I give a one-sentence answer to. If you want to have a conversation about it, though, you can stop by my Twitch tomorrow at 5. My internet isn't stable. I've been doing a lot of discussion stuff. Here's my Twitch. Come on over. We'll talk about it. And I got a response from this guy saying, well, I consider your stream to be your house, and out of respect, I'm not going to go there. I'm a little disappointed you didn't even engage with me. And I felt like, well, fuck. I mean, I'm being a bad host. I'm not trying to be an asshole. So, okay, well, I'll record or I'll write him, like a fucking page or a book about what I'm thinking. But that takes so much planning and stuff. It's like, I'm just much easier if I can just talk. So that's where I'll just record it. And then I'll stick it on here and add them. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, 20 minutes, 1.5 hours later. I mean, it's me, right? I talk a lot. Right, friends? It's been good to hang out. I'll see you tomorrow. And I can fucking play the game again. Yeah! Which is cool. And by the way, don't forget your, oh god, there's like the calendar thing, right? World of Warships. I don't know. There's some calendar thing that has like free, oh my god, I probably put it here and it's like buried. And, wasn't there a calendar? This, that looks like a penis. This, yeah. So, like, you can get stuff. The card will be open tomorrow. So don't forget the calendar, whatever this is. Because free stuff. And whatever. Alright. Peace, y'all.